first teamed up, and they took the checker flag right here
At Daytona! Woo!
Talk about teamwork.
And chemistry. It's important. It's everything. Jeff and Pepsi have
had it since the beginning. They've had some
amazing finishes, too. And what better way to
celebrate as Jeff looks for his 4th Pepsi 400.
Win tonight. Yeah! He's going to drop the wheels off that 24 car.
The Pepsi!
And Jeff Gordon!
10 years running?
And 10 years winning.
Yeah! And here's to many more. Thanks to everyone, this has been a milestone year all around. From the great start our team has had this season to the celebration of my partnership with Pepsi. This also marks a big year for TNT with the introduction of their new wide-open coverage broadcast format. As someone who knows a little something about running wide open, it's only fitting that they asked me to introduce this revolutionary new concept for NASCAR coverage. The fact is, a majority of viewers still watch the race on a 4x3 television. You guys get this. Unfortunately, this doesn't leave much room for in-race stats like running order and other race information. The graphics must be superimposed over the footage. So the director and camera operators are left with very little real estate to capture the action. Now, if you're cool enough to have an HD TV, you get this. A 16:9 image or 22% more picture. And if you know anything about watching NASCAR, that 22% makes a huge difference. So TNT has found a way to give you guys complete coverage whether you're watching a standard or high-definition television. The idea was to still that 16:9 action, strip away all the graphics, and give it to the 4x3 viewers. Now, when you watch a 16:9 image on a 4x3 TV, it gives you that letterbox effect. TNT plans to make use of that letterbox space by moving the footage up and filling in the leftover area with all the stats and information you want to see, but without it getting in the way of the action. So buckle up, because this is TNT's wide open coverage. On behalf of Pepsi and its bottlers, enjoy the Pepsi 400.
TNT Sports live at the Daytona International Speedway for the Pepsi 400. And now you know the ground rules. We are wide open from green flag to checkered flag for tonight's running here on TNT. Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Wally Dullaback and Kyle Petty, and thanks for joining us for our wide open coverage of the Pepsi 400. A number of stories to go over before we go green, but first of all, let's start with qualifying. It was rained out. That puts the best guys in the business at the front of the field and some guys that have been struggling at the back.
But some fast guys in the back. When qualifying was rained out, the guys that are the last 5 or 6 cars, guess what? They were setting 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those guys had to qualify on time. So they've got qualifying setups, whatever that means, because the difference between qualifying and race is so small now. The guys at the front practiced on race stuff. Jeff Gordon, guys like that, they were 20th, 15th, somewhere in that range. So the guys at the front, they're going to be race ready. The guys at the back, they're hoping for that early caution so they make a change.
This is an impound race, so once you qualified, you are not allowed to touch the car. The one thing we've been talking about for about the last hour and 45 minutes, though, is handling, and that'll be an issue.
It really is. This is a different animal from the Daytona 500 because it's normally cooler, and you can get out of the throttle and get away with it, and there's going to be a big pack all the time. But it's different here. It's hot. It's slippery. Handling is going to be a premium. The guy that can keep the gas pedal down all the time is going to be the guy that's going to win this race. And you'll see 4 or 5 guys probably that can do that and break away from the pack. So you'll have different packs, but still, handling is going to be the key. These guys are working on it really, really hard. A little bit different than in February.
The car is out on the track getting ready for tonight's running of the Pepsi 400 here at Daytona. And as you can see tonight, this is the first race at Daytona since the passing of Bill France Jr. last month. As a tribute to Mr. France, a 44th race car on the track for the pace laps tonight, driven by 7-time series champion and 7-time Daytona 500 winner Richard Petty. Mr. France was the guiding hand on the wheel of the sport for decades, and nowhere is he more fondly remembered than he is here at the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway. A salute from the fans of NASCAR and from the NASCAR family. And on one of NASCAR's biggest nights, Mr. France gets a well-deserved tribute from a king. Let's take a look at the starting grid for tonight's Pepsi 400 here at Daytona. Again, qualifying was rained out, so the starting grid set by the NASCAR rulebook. Basically, that's owner's points and on deeper through the field. On the front row, it's 4-time series champion Jeff Gordon and last week's winner, Denny Hamlin. Take you back to row 2. There you will find Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson out of the Hendrick Motorsports stable. In row 3, it's former 400 winner Jeff Burton and Tony Stewart, who goes for 3 Pepsi 400s in a row tonight. Take a look at the rest of the starting grid, and Wally's going to try and jump on the radio for us.
So we'll see if we can talk to Jeff Burton. Hey, Jeff Burton, this is Wally up in the booth. Can you hear me all right? No, I guess not.
It was worth a shot, though.
It was worth a shot. He was willing to talk.
There you see back in row 10, Bobby Labonte, Juan Pablo Montoya. Row 11, Casey Mears, a winner earlier this year in the Coke 600, and Elliott Sadler. Tony Reeds is in row 12, along with David Reagan.
Robbie Gordon on the inside of 13. David Stremme on the outside, the 40 car. Casey Kane on the inside of row 14. Reed Sorensen on the outside in the 41. Row 15, Sterling Marlin and Jeff Green.
Ricky Rudd on the inside and David Gilliland on the outside. All these guys got in on their points. Joe Nemechek, John Andretti, these are all the top 34, 35 in points back to this point. I think Johnny Salter's the 35th car in points on the inside, and Brian Vickers on the outside. These are the guys that got in because of the points on rain. This is the way it worked, which sent Boris Said and some of those guys home.
Paul Menard, David Rudiman back in row 21.
And some of these guys, Kyle, were in trouble. I mean, you know, if qualifying would have went through, a lot of these guys would have went home.
Yeah, some of these guys would have went home if qualifying had gone all the way through, because Boris Said, and there were a couple of cars, even Kenny Wallace had a great qualifying
Mayfield
lap.
was up there.
Mayfield was up there. Those guys were in the top 4 or 5, and that's what, like we talked about at the beginning here, the guys that are starting first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, they did strictly race stuff. The guys at the back did strictly qualifying.
And you saw that Ricky Rudd had to go to the rear of the field. That's for adjustments after qualifying at an impound race. Field will get 2 to go when they get to the start-finish line, this time on this 2.5-mile track. TNT would like to thank our sponsors for tonight's wide-open coverage of the Pepsi 400. Ford, Nextel, Miller Lite, AutoZone, DirecTV, Goodyear, Subway Restaurants, the Principal Financial Group, Toyota, and Pepsi. And a big thanks to those folks for tonight's wide open coverage here on TNT. You can see Richard.
King's going to the back, Kyle.
King's going
he got out of line.
Hey, they must have made an illegal change here before the race even started. He was on the pole, but this is a cool visual right here, splitting this in honor of Bill France Jr.
Is there any chance he'll stay out there, Kyle?
No, I think my mother told him just to put just enough fuel in it to make it like 2 or 3 laps, so there's no chance he's going to stay.
For 10 years, Pepsi and Jeff Gordon have been a winning combination. Let's race down memory lane and visit victory lane with the 4-time series champion.
Pepsi and Jeff Gordon, 10 years running, 10 years of winning.
He has amazed me so many times in the car I can't even count.
There's no one that has a resume to even compete with Jeff Gordon in the last decade.
The record speaks for itself.
congratulations on 10 years of Pepsi.
You deserve every bit of the success you've had.
That's a long run and a lot of successful times.
Jeff, thanks for a great 10 years. Here's to our next trip to Victory Lane. New from the makers of Pepsi, Jeff Gordon, 24 Energy.